Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today on yet another magnificent Monday. I will admit it's not actually all that magnificent because it is pouring outside currently here, but hey, we're talking Titanfall 2, we're playing Titanfall 2, so it's about as magnificent as it's gonna get. I wanted to bring you guys some food for thought on this Monday. Haven't done this in a while, and there's a particular subject matter that I've been seeing quite a lot of going on down in my comments, the comments of other people's videos, and particularly the forums, and every single time I pop into the subreddit. And I don't think it's a healthy state of mind that a lot of people are in with the game right now. It's probably sapping a lot of the fun factor out of the game for them, and I think people are just focusing a little bit too hard, sort of beating a dead horse. We'll get to that in a second, though, because the gameplay you guys are seeing today is probably one of my better PvP matches. It was actually on Crash Site. I was shocked how well I did, but it was also a match where I decided to use Phase Shift. I haven't really used Phase Shift in a long time, since the early days of the game, and I wanted to give it a go, work on some of my survivability tactics with Phase Shift. And as it turned out, this would be like the ultimate video, the ultimate gameplay clip for the topic that I was going to discuss today, because the reality is Phase Shift did very little for me during this match, and yet I still did astonishingly well. I ended up like 28-4. A lot of it just had to do with the positioning and the overall tactical decision making of the enemy team, and even my team. It was kind of like two herds of sheep standing on either side of the pasture, slinging their own crap at one another, and I came in as a wolf, not even really wanting to kill these sheep. Perhaps I'm a vegan wolf and I just enjoy berries and twigs, but I could not stand to see the sheep sling their poo for as long as they did. I knew the farmer would be upset, and you know what? I like to keep the farmer kind of happy, considering every now and then I might, break away from my vegan ways to eat some of his chickens. So I figured he wouldn't want to wake up and see all of this poo slung all over his beautiful green pasture, so I had to start killing some of the sheep, and I figured I'd pick a side. That's pretty much the most ridiculous metaphor I've ever come up with, but it's extremely accurate because that's exactly what happened here on Crash Site. Now, there may be people on that enemy team who were shouting at me for using Phase Shift, but really Phase Shift had little to do, once again, with my success. They grouped up, I simply farmed them and killed them, and it was all down to them just playing in a very silly manner. This isn't even like I'm God tier and they were rubbish. No, it was just them playing very poorly, and I was simply playing all right. I was just taking advantage of the situation at hand. So this leads us into my food for thought for today. I get it, right? We all want to concern ourselves with providing constructive criticism for the game, where we think it's balanced and imbalanced. But there's a fine line between providing that constructive criticism, genuinely complaining, and all in all going into a forum of commentary or posting where you're just attacking people, and it's getting a little bit old. It's not the majority of us, obviously. It is very much the vocal minority that I'm speaking about here, but I'm still tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing people being called names and verbally abused for using a tactical that they enjoy, whether it's cloak or AWOL or Phase Shift. I'm tired of seeing people being abused for using a certain Titan or a certain weapon. Just leave the name calling at home. If you have nothing nice to say, then don't say anything at all. It's as simple as that, and I want to see that vocal minority in the community sort of take that on, because there's just way too much of it, way too much verbal abuse against people using Phase Shift. The name calling is absolutely elementary and childish at best, and it really needs to go away. On top of that, I want you to really ask yourself just how much good it does you complaining about Phase Shift, verbally threatening other players, threatening the developers. Does that really help you learn how to counter Phase Shift in any way? No, it absolutely doesn't. And again, I understand, we all want to voice our actual constructive criticism, but I think we've all done this at that point, haven't we? And we have a brand new patch on the way with Colony Reborn. Let's see what Respawn does with that patch, and then I'll bring you guys my state of the game. You don't see me making 6 or 7 videos a week complaining about Tone or the Devotion or AWOL or this. I'm not just endlessly going off on these tangents like, oh, this sucks and that sucks. No, because that doesn't help anyone. That doesn't help you, the audience. It's not enjoyable, and it doesn't help me either. And I'd like to see that same sort of mindset carried over into the way that people post comments about these things. Just at this point, you need to get over it, all right? We've said our two pieces. We've put our thoughts on paper. We've done it on the forums. We've done it on the subreddit. Many of us have done it in video form. Respawn gets it. They're either listening or they're not. continuing to beat this dead horse by calling people out for using certain abilities isn't going to make things any better. It isn't going to change the course of the future of that ability and how Respawn balances it. And again, more importantly, it's not going to help you become a better pilot in countering or dealing with set abilities. Just about everything in the game right now can be countered. I'm not denying that some things are stronger than other things and that they do need to be brought down a bit, but just about everything in the game has some sort of a clear and present counter. Phase shift, for example, is merely a bit of knowledge, a bit of awareness. The average player using phase shift isn't really utilizing it to its maximum potential. They're simply popping into phase out in the open and then disappearing for a couple seconds before reappearing and allowing you to kill them. The best phase shift pilots are using it as a proper survival tool. They're hiding behind cover, they're using it to break line of sight to make full-on escapes before re-entering the combat zone. So there are plenty of ways in which you can actually legitimately counter phase shift. It is not the end-all be-all ability. The same can be said for cloak and for AWOL. These are all things that you can get around. So rather than endlessly moaning about them and thinking that that is going to somehow improve your chances of dealing with those things, you should step on out, spend a little bit of time, put in a little bit of effort, and learn how to counter these elements. Change your gameplay accordingly to deal with people who are playing more stationary using AWOL, people who are using phase shift. Learn how to disengage to get a better line of sight on where they're going to re-enter into the present phase. There are plenty of ways in which you can make yourself a better pilot before you should even consider concerning yourself with what is OP and what is under P. Is that even a thing? I think I just made it a thing, so we'll run with it. That's really what I want a lot of you guys to chew on throughout the course of this week and moving forward. Again, let's worry about our state of the game updates. Let's worry about those bigger discussions after a patch goes live. That's when we should focus on those things, all right? It doesn't make sense to keep beating it into the ground 3 months down the road when I know so many of you have tons of room to grow. I have room to grow. Almost all of us have room to grow. So focus on that room to grow, make yourself a better pilot, and spend a little bit less time just beating that dead horse. Probably in a couple days, as we're getting very close to March 30th, we'll be seeing the patch notes for Colony Reborn. We can talk about it then we can actually play Colony Reborn, and then we can revisit it in 2 weeks and see the changes that Respawn has made. Patching a game isn't a fast, quick process. Respawn can't just throw out a patch every time a small portion of the community complains about something, and frankly, they shouldn't. It's not a healthy way to balance and to maintain a game's multiplayer experience for long periods of time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I know I'm kind of speaking to the vocal minority here. Most of us are adults, and we don't need to sling poo at each other verbally to get our point across. But all in all, I just want people to get less caught up in the nuances of the game's balance and focus more on improving themselves as pilots. I think it's a healthy route to take, and I think at the end of the day, you'll really appreciate the results. I'm going to leave you guys with the rest of this match. Enjoy it. Try not to be any of these players in the future, and I guarantee your crash site experience will be a hell of a lot better than theirs was. As always, remember to play for fun, remember to play to challenge yourself, and most importantly, remember to play smart.
Double the kill. Utterly devastating. Nice work, pilot. Great work. That's how the 6-4 do it. Drinks are on me.